Hello, and welcome back to the podcast that would never make you get in the oven. Welcome back to the best part of your week. Welcome back to the Love, Death, and Movies podcast, internet's number one film breakdown and review podcast, the podcast that crushes watch lists week after week. Every month is a different genre. Every week is a different film in that genre. So follow us on everything and join along for the ride, and let's watch some movies. I'm one of your hosts, of course, Ash, and join with me is Harry. Each and every week, dynamic duo holding down the fort. Harry, how are you today?
I've had an up and down week, Ash. So I'm okay. And I'll go into it why when we go into our weeks. There's been some good points, there's been some horrific points, and I will go through detailed. Right, but how are you?
Yeah, give us a play-by-play. I'm fine. About the same. I wouldn't say I have like super low lows or anything, but kind of a hectic week, kind of just a meh week, you know? I did watch some fun stuff. We can just go into our weeks now,
Yeah,
honestly, and then we
how's your
can,
week? Tell me about your week.
yeah, it was fine. Work's just been crazy the last like month, but that is what it is. I've been watching a lot of like just good, solid fun. Like I think everything I watched in the last week besides Severance is just like three and a halves across the board. There's like fun, solid movies,
They
nothing
just
like
exist,
fun.
sort of thing.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
watched Companion finally. I watched The Faculty. I know you've been talking about this for
Yeah.
a
What
while.
do you think of Faculty?
But it was so much fun.
It's fun, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, they run in the same sort of genre of just fun
Yeah.
sci-fi-ish. Yeah.
Yeah, super predictable once you kind of know where it's going, but like still fun. I watched They Live, the John Carpenter
Was
film.
that your first time
Uh,
watching it?
yes.
Oh, that's
Yes.
the Chew Bubblegum and Kick-Ass, right?
Yes, exactly that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's also it's the maniac from Always Sunny from the Wrestle for the Troops episode.
Maniac from
That
always.
actor who plays the maniac, the wrestler in the show,
Oh, of
he's a
course,
real
yeah.
wrestler and he plays his name is Roddy Piper.
Oh, Rowdy Roddy Piper. Yeah, yeah. He's
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
um he's dead now. Rest in peace.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy though that he's rest in peace. But crazy that he's like in that movie with John Carpenter and then just happened to pop up in my favorite sitcom
Yeah,
ever.
that's
So,
so funny.
but yeah, it was a fine week, some fun watching, going on, but not a lot of like great stuff going on, I guess, in my personal life, nothing too exciting. So yeah, that was pretty much it. I'm happy to be here. Happy it's the weekend. But tell us about your week. What's going on?
Doing the good or the bad first.
Give us the bad news, then we'll end on
So
a positive note.
Ash, AFL starts next week. We all know this, all right? First game's next week. We've had the whole league's been doing these practice matches for the past like 3 weeks. There's been an unimaginable injury toll across the entire league because a lot of people are saying they just don't have enough time to train as much as they used to before these practice matches, so their bodies aren't in good nick. But the Sydney Swans, our team, Ash, your team as well now, by the way.
Yeah.
We got through real good, with no injuries at all. We got one that was like our captain's out for like the first 3 weeks. That's okay. It's just something with his foot, precautionary. We're doing it now so he doesn't get injured later. Fine, I'm okay with that. Our ruckman, I'm not going to explain the rules. One of our position players, the ruckman, he had a knock to the knee, but it looks like he's still going to play the first week. Totally fine. We've got a superstar named Errol Goulden, and don't make fun of his name.
You've told me about him before.
He's a fucking killer. He's one of the best players in the league by far. He's the best positional kicker in the league by far. On Friday, I watched us play our last practice game before the season, and I watched him snap his ankle. And not snap, fracture. I call it snap. It's like he like rolled his ankle really bad, and they like carried him off, and like he was like walking on it. So he's a fucking beast. But scans came out. He's got a fractured ankle. He's getting surgery today. He's out for 3 months. I'm devastated right now. Like this is like proper devastation nation over here. Like I'm like I've had maybe yesterday I had maybe 30 people message me a link to the article saying, "Hey, did you see this?" Yeah, I did. I did fucking see it. I did. I saw it before all of you. Like Jesus Christ, I saw it in live time. I saw that as it happened. I was like, that ain't good. That ain't good at all. So that's how my week's going. But it's okay. We've got a team of killers. I'm just in my head. I'm like, hey, if we're just in a good place by the time he gets back, it's a major upgrade. So it's like I was texting someone last night, and she was like, well, like asking like she doesn't really know how I felt. I'm like, think about this. It's like the Hunger Games like dropped Katniss Everdeen. Like that's literally what it is. So it's tough. It's a tough one right now. I'm in a dark place. But other than that, I need to get back to Severance. We talked about this before, but this week I was focused on the ending of probably the greatest show of all time, which is Cobra Kai. Watched all of the last season of Cobra Kai basically in 2 days. Might be the greatest show of all time. We will.
Really?
Jury's still out. Do you like Karate Kid?
I I enjoy it. I'm not like a massive fan or by any means. It's not something that
Hmm.
I would not enough to watch the show, unfortunately. I really enjoy the first Karate Kid and I have enjoyment with the other ones, but yeah, it's not really my thing.
Okay. Okay. We're gonna have words after this. But everyone that watches Karate Kid knows Cobra Kai's fucking rules. Cobra Kai
In
never
my
dies. Show's awesome. It's super cheesy. Knows what it is. That's what I got. Oh, I watched The Visit, and I watched
Yeah.
Signs. I don't think I watched anything in the film in the films in the
I don't
cinema.
think anything really came out. I mean, and that's a great segue into actually announcing what we're talking about today, which is the
Oh
visit.
yeah.
But yeah, we started a new month for March, which is M. Night March. Super exciting. He doesn't have a new movie coming out this year, so we just kind of threw this in
I
because
thought he
we
does. Well, I thought he does. Does he not?
does he?
It might be.
Correct me if
It's
I'm
this
wrong.
year or next year for sure. Let me look it
Okay.
up while you talk.
Yeah, look it up. But we obviously don't plan our, genres and themes super around what's coming out that month or anything. But we just thought, M. Night March is the best month to do it,
We're a
a
fuck
little
around and
alliteration
find
there.
out sort of podcast.
Oh yeah, 100%. We just go rogue. We do what we want, and if you want to follow along on the ride, that's it's great. But yeah, so today we're breaking down 2015's The Visit. We were gonna do Signs. Hopefully, people saw our update on our last video, but we have a guest coming on for that one, so we had to kind of move things around to coordinate. So that'll be next week, and then we're going to be doing The Village, which I have not watched
Oh,
probably in
oh.
over 10 years, maybe 15 years. So I'm
I thought
very
you just
excited to
hadn't
rewatch
watched it
that.
in general. I was like, oh, you're about to have some fun fucking
Oh
time.
no, I've seen it multiple times, but it was more
Brilliant.
something I was fascinated by when I was younger, like
Yeah.
teenager age, and then Trap to end off the month, which I have seen only once, so that'll be fun to
I
rewatch.
fucking love Trap. Oh my god, Trap's so sick.
Yeah, yeah, can't wait to go through this month. It's going to be fun. But for today, we're going to talk about The Visit. So just to give a little summary, and then I will ask you for your thoughts on it. But The
Spoilers.
Visit, directed by M. Night Shyamalan, obviously. Interesting, released on September 11th, 2015. Story goes as follows. Becca and her brother Tyler are sent to their grandparents' remote Pennsylvania farm for a week, where they discover that the elderly couple is involved in in something deeply disturbing. That's one way of saying it. Before we get into it, let me know your thoughts. I've only seen this movie one time when it first came out until this last week. So only seen it twice. I'm curious if this is something you've watched a lot or if you've just seen it a few times like me.
I've seen it a handful of times. I really like this film. I think this film's a lot of fun. I signify this, I classify
Signify?
this, yeah, that's the one, signify. Jesus, it's early in the morning, guys. Come on,
It's okay.
relax. I'm grieving right now. The I signify this film like because I remember watching it and it was after a period of M Night going through his downy years. You know, he did like Last Airbender. I'm not sure. Let me get up his actual filmography in terms of chronological. Jesus,
Yeah, I
release
know.
date. But he went through like After Earth and shit like
Hmm.
that. And After Earth, there's all these behind the like scenes stories that he actually didn't really direct that. That was all kind of directed by Shook Smith, and he was kind of just did it for Will Smith. He kind of just did it for like a director for hire and kind of got the money for that. Yes,
Hmm.
he did the Lady in the Water, which I really like. Lady in the Water. He did The Happening, which is like some people love it, some people don't. Then he did The Last Airbender and After Earth. So two director for hires sort of thing, and he got the money and he spent all of his money, not all of it, but he produced, he self-funded The Visit. So this is very much a passion project for him, and it very much felt like going back to the original roots of M. Night, where it's like something like a bit off. It's not. It's like a horror movie, but it's like his movies aren't classic horror movies. They're entertainment films that have like a thriller horror aspect to it. And I think this is bang on. I think this movie is really fun, unique. I love the way that it's shot. How it's not really mockumentary style. It is
It
mockumentary style.
is.
Sorry, it's not really found footage, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It is more mockumentary style, which I really like. I love the kids. They're great. A lot of people, I saw your review, you don't like the rapping. I fucking love the rapping.
Mm-mm.
I think the rapping's great. I think that kid's unreal.
But I
Um,
mean, to be fair, I'm not someone who really likes rap in general.
yeah,
So He's
That's
seeing
fair.
this like 13-year-old like kid who keeps saying ho at the end of everything. Not exactly my cup of tea, but I didn't
That's fair.
actually like I don't hate the kid or anything. I think he's a good character, but more as a joke. Yeah, the rapping I could do without.
It's wild because she just messaged me saying I actually hate the kid. Interesting. Yeah, no, I think this movie is a lot of fun, and I remember watching it being like in. I remember being in the theaters watching this film and thinking, "Hey, he might be back," because like he went on a run after this. Well, not
Yeah.
really. He went straight to Split, which is one of his
Mhm.
best films.
Absolutely.
He had Glass, which I don't love Glass. I thought the first act of Glass was fantastic, and then it just lost its way. He went to Old, which has some great moments. Then he did Knock at the Cabin, which is I fucking love Knock at the Cabin. I think
Hmm.
it's great, and Trap, which I think is one of his best.
Yep.
So I love M Night. He's like one of my favorite directors, just because anytime this is inarguable. Love him or hate him, he's fascinating. Every time a
Hmm.
film comes out, you want to know about it. Like you're not avoiding an M Night film. He's so entertaining.
Hmm.
And that's what I really love about him. I think M Night's one of the best working directors today, just because I like anytime a movie comes out, it's crazy. It's kind of like indie films, but they're like blockbusters in the way that they're talked
Yeah.
about, which is really cool. And I think The Visit is like a really good foundation of him coming back and showing like
Yep.
what he is. Because there was a period like I think Lady in the Water was kind of like the last great film that he did that I liked before The Visit, and that was 2006. Then he did The Happening in 2008, and then there was like really nothing good until 2015, which is The
Hmm.
Visit. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I haven't seen Lady in the Water, and I haven't seen After Earth. I think I've seen everything else that he's done. So I've seen almost all his filmography, but yeah, just a couple missing. Yeah, I don't think that I'm like passionate about like I love M. Night Shyamalan movies, but if I'm looking at like my general opinion of majority of his films, I like them. I think they're mostly good. Obviously, some I need to rewatch, which we are tackling throughout this podcast this month. So I'm excited about Signs in the Village because I've definitely not seen those ones in the longest amount of time.
Oh,
So I'm very excited
Signs
about.
fucks. Sorry, I'll keep that language until next week.
No worries. But yeah, The Visit is one that I saw when it came out. I agree with you. I think it kind of brought him back on the map as like, oh, this is something that he actually wanted to make, and you
This
can
feels
really
like an M Night
tell.
film, right? Yeah.
I always know because M. Night loves family. And he loves to really have like those emotional beats and those like familial moments in all of his movies. And usually it's like a parent child relationship. Obviously, like in this one, the dad's not in the picture, but you know, we've seen other types of dynamics like that in his films. So I think it's pretty obvious that he loves family. And I think it's fun that he even includes that in a movie like this, which is kind of like a horror thriller. So yeah, I think this is a great movie to kind of bring him back on the map. I remember the marketing for this one when it was coming out. I was like my last year of college. I just remember seeing the trailers with like the getting in the oven, and it was marketed really well without giving too much away. And yeah, I remember really loving it back then when I watched it. I thought it was just a blast of a movie. I had kind of forgotten that it was documentary style, which is kind of funny because it's obviously that way from the get-go. But yeah, I had forgotten about that. So that was kind of fun to rewatch now that I'm someone who's absorbed a lot of mockumentary style content. So I'm a big fan of the way it's shot. I think it works well. I agree that it's not really found footage. It's definitely more of like a true documentary style. I don't even know if you could call it mockumentary because it's not like satire of
Mm.
documentary style, like a lot of the TV shows that we see do it, or like some of the comedy movies. So I don't even know if you could classify it as that, but I think it works well. And I think that this movie builds tension while being really funny throughout. So definitely a good balance of the two.
Nice. I just want to
You
say
good over there?
there's a neighbor that's just started renovating their apartment. It seems so. If I go on mute every now and then, or you hear a little buzzsaw, that ain't me. All right. Someone's either getting, you know, I
Understood.
think maybe the jigsaw murderer is next door, or they're renovating their kitchen. Who knows? It's one of the two.
Something.
Well
Good
said.
timing.
I
But
remember the trailer of this as well. The trailer of this was
mhm,
fucking awesome. Where it's like the where the shot of the grandma in the rocking chair,
mhm.
just facing the wall and laughing, and you're like, oh, that's terrifying.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think this is a great movie. It's obviously 90 minutes. That's a perfect length for a film like this. And yeah, I think it kind of takes him back to like what made some of his movies great, which was kind of more simple, a simple premise, but still intertwining like his style throughout it, which I think it's very clear here that that's what he was doing. But even like I would say this twist is one of his more obvious and more like minimal
But
in all
it's
of his movies,
so good how
but it's
it
good.
unfolds.
Hmm.
Ah,
All right. Well, shall we?
yeah.
Let's do it. Okay. So we open to documentary style interview with the beautifully talented Catherine Hahn, who plays the mom, Loretta, talking to the camera about her ex-husband and her two children. She explains that her parents didn't like her ex and that that he ended up leaving her for someone he met at a Starbucks. Brutal. She talks about how she left home at 19 and hasn't spoken to her parents in about 15 years, which her daughter is 15. So you can kind of assume that she got pregnant shortly after that.
Yeah.
She's agreed to let her, oh, I'm so sorry, I skipped a part. The grandparents that she's talking about, her parents that she's been spoken to, reached out apparently after looking her up and finding her online and expressed interest in getting to know their grandchildren after all this time. First red flag. She's agreed to let her 15-year-old Becca and her 13-year-old Tyler go visit their grandparents in rural Pennsylvania. And Becca, who's deeply into filmmaking, is going to make a documentary out of the entire experience.
It's a good idea. Like
We've already talked about it being
parents,
mockumentary. Yeah. It's kind of like Paranormal Activity, right?
Yeah. Sorry,
that's what it reminds me of.
Absolutely. Yeah. Also, do you know what have you seen the original poster for this with the knitting? Wait, let me look this up.
I don't know if I have.
It shows the tagline. I'm not sure if it's the tagline of the actual film, but it's like 3 rules of grandma's rules, and it's 3 rules. It's have a great time, eat as much as you want, don't ever leave your room after 9:30 p.m. Such a good poster. Love that.
That's fantastic. Yeah, no, I had not aware of that poster, but I love that. I already kind of commented on it when you were checking on your Loud Neighbors, but I feel like the mockumentary documentary style works really well for this movie. But do you agree? Do you like it? Okay.
It is, and like what you said, it's a perfect length for it because of like that sort of style. It gets like annoying real quick, not real quick, but it's tiresome. And yeah, so it needed to be that short, sort of length.
I agree. And I think especially being like a more horror thriller, I think those types of movies do really well when they're like just around that 90-minute mark. So yeah, it works really well here. So she drops him off at the train station. She heads off on a vacation, on a cruise with her current boyfriend. And the kids are actually really excited for her. They think she deserves it. She gets to finally have some time to herself. You can kind of guess that she's probably dedicated her life the last 15 years to being a single mom and just kind of doing that. So she needs a break. So they arrive on a Monday morning in Masonville, Pennsylvania, to meet their grandparents for the first time. They begin spending time with them while Becca films things inside the house. She's trying to, kind of connect to things her mother grew up with, just kind of more intrigued by the house she grew up in and the neighborhood she grew up in, while Tyler is rapping random words on the fly, like pineapple upside down cake. So funny.
He's great, man. I love him. He's good. He's very likable kid.
He is. And I think the actor is very charismatic, which I think is needed for the type of role that he's playing.
Yeah, there's like little moments where he's just like, he turns to the camera and goes, "What's in the shed, Becca?" And like shit like that. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, I don't really have it in my notes, but I do really enjoy when she gives him the second camera to sort of act like as a additional eye on, filming things. And I love the way that like he takes his approach to that. He takes a really silly approach to it at first, and it adds a lot of humor.
It's a good little contrast. I like how M. Night does these little things. He puts in little like characterisms, like how it's Tyler, right? Becca and Tyler.
Yeah.
Tyler, he has the germophobia. Germophobia, you know what I mean? The phobia of germs. And that like plays into the film by the end of it. And like in Signs, how there's like little Bo has the thing about always needing glasses of water. That plays into it like later on. Like he has these little things that like he puts like a little character defect in a way. But it turns out to be like their power. Like he does that a lot in these movies, which I really like.
Yeah, I didn't really think about it that way, but it is interesting. And I think it makes sense. I think it kind of humanizes his characters a little bit too, because that's a really real thing for humans. Like
absolutely
weird fears and things we all have.
Like I've got a bit of germophobia, and I think I'm the superhero.
I mean, if what happened to him happened to me, I don't even think that you could be a germaphobe to think that is one of the most heinous things someone can do to you.
That's so gross. It's so gross. Let's get it. Yeah.
We'll get into that later. But yeah, I mean, like I said before, I'm not a massive fan of all the rapping, but I did think the pineapple upside down cake thing was funny. Like just like him kind of like, okay, I got this. And then he just like spits it out of nowhere on the fly. I think that's pretty cool. I wish he'd stop saying ho so much though.
He'll learn. He's a teenager. He'll learn.
Becca and Tyler do keep in touch with their mom through Skype. Funny enough, Skype is like totally done for, going off the grid here soon. So just kind of funny to watch a movie where that was obviously the platform that was pretty much owning the market at that time. And I thought I'd bring up this opportunity that Catherine Hahn is definitely going on the smoke show list. So you can
Oh
jot that.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
Thought we should bring that back around. It's been a while since we've talked about the list.
who was
So
the person last week? It was a dude. Oh, Paul Walker.
Paul Walker in
Yep.
Pleasantville.
Putting him on.
Yep, put them both on the list. So then Tyler observes Pop Pop acting weird near the shed, and this is the first like weird behavior that they will witness over the next week. This is very minimal in comparison to what they will see. And on their first night in their room, they learn that bedtime is 9:30, like you said. But Becca is not about this, so she tries to sneak out for some cookies at 10:30 to find Nana at the end of the stairs, wandering around projectile vomiting. Just normal things.
Normal Nana.
I was originally going to stop here to kind of get your thoughts on the beginning of the film, and if you kind of noticed anything early on the first time you watched it that would indicate that they were not their grandparents at all, or if you kind of were like locked in and just assumed it was their grandparents when you first watched this, if you remember.
When I first watched it, like the twist got me. I didn't know, like,
Same.
because I hadn't watched an M Night film for so long. Like that's why. Because like, well, now you go to an M Night film, you're like, where is it? What the fuck is this thing? But yeah, they're like, you pick up on a couple of things. Like they keep talking about Shady Pines. Is it Shady Pines? Is
The mental facility that
like,
the grandparents volunteered at.
they talk about that? Is it like someone tries to visit them and
We're getting to that. Yeah, I think that's
yeah.
coming up really soon.
That's when you first like when you watch it again, you're like, oh, like yeah. But the like little things you see throughout it that they're not there. Like one thing is when he yelled out, "Hey, Pop Pop," and he looks at him and walks away, and you're like already like, okay, something ain't right.
Yep.
Something's not right. The grandma at the bottom of this. The grandma's horrifying in this fucking film.
Yeah.
There's one scene which you'll get to, which I think's scarier than the vomiting. Way scarier. Like whenever she's crawling, hate it.
Oh yeah, the vomiting one I don't think is
It's more just like
kinda,
you're like, a bit weird.
yeah, they get progressively stranger and more creepy as the movie goes along, but you get enough of a taste to where you're like, okay, something's off with these people.
Yeah.
I did not think that they weren't their grandparents. I think my first thought when I first watched this was just that something wasn't right with them, and given that they obviously hadn't really been involved in Loretta's life for the last 15 years, I thought maybe they had like early onset Alzheimer's or just something like some kind of mental illness that was making them act this way.
Yeah.
So I feel like the twist of them actually being not the grandparents definitely got me. When you're rewatching it though, you're absolutely right. You can definitely see little signals that speak to a lot of weird shit going on. Which we're going to get to that part about the guy coming up. But yeah, I mean, continuing on, basically, it's Tuesday now. So they've been there for one full day. Becca tries to express her concern to Pop Pop about what she saw about the vomiting. But he tells her that she must have just had like a 24-hour bug. Classic. They always have an excuse for everything. Then this scene really creeps me out. It's actually like one of my favorites of the movie. But this is where Becca and Tyler decide to play hide and seek under the house.
It's horrifying.
Hell no, would I ever do that, first of all. But they are like playing, everything's lighthearted, and because of the way it's filmed, it's like shaky cam. That's where you start to almost get like Blair Witch vibes when they're down there. And it's like all of a sudden Nana's just crawling around, creepily chasing them. And she even says, like, I'm gonna get you, Becca. And it's just like, what the fuck is happening? And then they crawl out and she comes out laughing like she was just playing. She's like, oh, I'm just playing a game with you guys. And then out of nowhere, it's just like, I'm gonna go make chicken pot pie.
Yeah, like it's kind of
No
crazy
big deal.
because like under the house, it's horrifying. It's creepy and scary. But when then like she crawls out and she's laughing, like even her crawling out, you're like, no, it's fine. Like it's not like it's literally the shaky cam and they're like also there's no score in this film, is there? Love that.
There's hardly any music until the end.
Love that. That part I remember in the cinema. That was the first one that really creeped me out. That and her at night crawling was
100%.
the two ones that like creeped me out.
I think especially without, you mentioned the no like score, this movie is very atmospheric, which usually atmospheric movies need a score to sort of like lock you in. But this one, because it's filmed like a documentary, it loops you in really well by just kind of having that style of filming mixed with the normal grandparent behavior and like family wholesome moments moments, excuse me, mixed with them doing outlandish shit from time to time, like every single day that they're there. So it's just like you kind of feel like it's atmospheric, even though you're not necessarily setting the tone with music, which is not like a super common thing to find in movies.
Yeah.
What is interesting, and then the snowy atmosphere obviously adds to like the creepiness of it all. So I think it's really well done as far as the setting.
Isolation.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of is a little bit of that.
A little bit like a
they're
close
not
setting.
fully isolated, but
A little close setting. A little bit of a close setting, eh?
couldn't be you. That's a close setting. You know what?
Oh, yeah.
So a man comes to the door. You alluding to this
CSS.
earlier.
Sorry, continue.
While the grandparents are gone. I think it's interesting that both times people come to the door, they're gone. I thought that was kind of weird. I thought that was an interesting choice. And tells Becca that he's worried because they missed counseling a few days ago and hasn't seen them since, and they never miss a session. So that's another red flag. Tyler investigates the shed to find that there is a pile of dirty adult diapers. But Nana tells him that it's because he's incontinent and gets embarrassed, so he hides his accidents in there. So far, the reasons that they're telling them these things are happened seem kind of legitimate. Like these are things that might happen to an old person.
Yep.
Later that night, they awake to loud noises and open the door to find Nana naked in the hallway, scratching at the walls.
Oh, the scratching sounds is horrifying.
It gets me. Yeah, the scratching is brutal. That obviously scares the shit out of them. So they wake up the next morning. Now we're on Wednesday morning, and Pop has another explanation, tells Becca that she has a condition called sundowners, which makes her do all these things, especially late at night. Essentially, Nana's like a werewolf. And she comes out after 9:30. So he just reminds her that they should just not come out of their room after 9:30 p.m. Weird things continue to happen, but they have excuses for all of their strange behavior. Nana's making biscuits and lets Becca know that she accidentally got batter on her camera and tried to clean it with oven cleaner, and now it won't work. Weird.
Also,
Becca,
I'm sorry.
Oh,
clean the batter off. Like, batter's not that hard.
She did it on purpose.
But batter's not. But like Becca, batter ain't that hard to clean off.
I think what my guess is that when the grandma used the oven cleaner, she like kind of destroyed the camera and it being able to work. So I don't think that it's purely just an issue of getting the batter off.
But they used it later.
They what?
They used the camera later.
Yeah, because she wipes it off. So I'm not sure why she couldn't get it off faster. Honestly,
let's just let it go. All right.
Let it go, Harry.
But
okay? Move past it.
I've never come across a batter that I can't remove. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
It's fair. She is a 15-year-old, you know? She's still learning the world. She may not know.
She's so stupid.
But Becca assures Tyler that it's a real disease and that she Googled it, and she just says that they're old and tells him he needs to relax. Because the whole time he's progressively questioning things, and she's obviously trying to just get through the week and thinks things are strange, but isn't like buying into it as much.
Yeah.
They talk to their mom again, and she even confirms like they're just old, and like my parents have always been a bit strange, so there's like nothing to question here yet.
Yeah.
Nana agrees to be interviewed by Becca for her documentary, but only after Becca gets inside the oven to clean it. Totally normal. But when Becca asks questions about her mother, Nana loses it and starts like shaking and convulsing and stops the interview and tells her she does not want to be in her movie any longer. Anything else to add here? Or do you want me to just keep going?
No, keep going. I feel like we're good at going while we're adding in stuff as it goes. But like the cleaning the oven though, that's the first huge red flag.
Yeah.
Big time.
I love though that from the trailers, when you first watch this, you're just waiting for like Becca to die in the oven or something crazy to happen because you see that in the trailer, and obviously you assume this crazy lady might just turn on the oven and burn her to death. But obviously that never happens, and I'm not even sure if that's ever her intention. I almost feel like the grandma just sort of is like fucking with her along the way, like with the camera and with the oven, like. She's clearly mentally unwell. And so it's just kind of interesting to watch her progressively catch on to the fact that I think Becca and Tyler think things are weird. So as soon as they give off the vibe that things are weird, the grandma and the grandpa really both start doing things that sort of, I think, make them more questionable, like asking to get into the oven.
I also, it gave me a reminder of like, is it Brothers Grimm? Is it Little Red Riding Hood with the grandma that like?
Yeah.
And it gave me a little big. I think that's probably what it's for. It's kind of like the old school fairy tales.
Yeah, like the Hansel and Gretel, the Little Red Riding Hood. Yeah.
Yeah.
for sure. So now we're on Thursday morning. So they've been there for 4 days, which is wild that they made it that long. Where they all go out for a family walk. Tyler continues to be on the edge, not trusting them. A couple moments here of like really sincere brother sister conversations, really emotional moments. Becca interviews him about their father leaving. Tyler kind of makes light of it, acting like it doesn't bother him, saying it's fine, people leave, but she clearly doesn't believe him. When the roles are reversed, he interviews her and asks her why she doesn't look at herself in the mirror. This is actually like a really brutal conversation, but I think it's an important one for like their brother sister relationship. She's shifted in behavior when their dad left, and Tyler reminds her that it doesn't feel good when someone asks you something personal. She admits that she admits she started to look at herself differently when their dad left, and that she thinks that she's worthless and clearly has a lot of anger and resentment built up towards her father. She makes a little like, what do you want to like a entry, like a personal entry, where she kind of talks about it after in this letter that he left her, like literally just left her a card, and then left and never spoke to her again. It's pretty heartbreaking. So these emotional and personal moments within the film to me are very M. Night. Like that's what sets him apart from just like a standard thriller horror film is like he really has a real love for family stories. And even it's been like Trap where the dad's clearly very problematic. Like he still makes sure to like sprinkle in these moments of a loving father
He's a
or
girl
loving
dad.
siblings.
Yeah.
He really, really loves family. And you can just tell no matter what the movie is that that's very clear. So I think these moments, especially with the two siblings, really showcase that in this one.
Their relationship's unreal. It's
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's already happened or not, but it's more like one night where Tyler touches like the toilet seat and he has germs on his hand. He feels and he can't get it
Yes.
off, and she's like calming him down and stuff. I'm like, good. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I didn't write that one down, but I think that they have a very realistic sibling relationship where they bicker, they fight, they don't always agree, they make fun of each other, but they still really support each other when it's needed. And I think especially
Yeah.
being the older sister, Becca really showcases that where she's really the protector and trying to take care of him while their mom's not there. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Big time.
Okay, so after the emotional moments and the walk and everything, a woman comes by to bring a cobbler to the
A
grandparents.
woman. Sorry. Continue.
They're again not there. But she said they didn't show up last Saturday for a counseling session. She's actually a patient that they worked with, and she says they never miss, similar to the guy earlier in the film. But of course, once again, like I said, they come by. She comes by when they're not there. So then later we have that moment that you were talking about in the rocking chair where Nana's laughing at the window. Very unsettling. She tries to suffocate herself with her scarf. And this obviously worries Becca. She's trying to calm her down. And then Nana tells her, you have to laugh to keep the darkies in the cave. For me, this is like the moment in the film where like it's really clear to me that, well, I guess I should say the next part before I say this. Pretty immediately after this, Becca goes to find Pop Pop and he has a shotgun in his mouth and assures her that he's just cleaning it. These two moments happening back to back is kind of like jarring because they've been acting weird, but this is where, to me at least, it was very clear that it was severe mental illness and that it was clear that these two people likely are associated with this mental hospital that likely the real grandparents work at. Like that's where it started to kind of come together for me, was that this isn't just like weird people doing weird shit. These people are very severely ill.
Yeah.
And they need help, and they probably were getting help before they decided to probably break out and do this whole weird plan that they had. But I think they showcase it really well with these two scenes being less than 5 minutes combined, but you kind of learn everything you need to know about what they've probably been through and where they're at mentally. So the way he is able to show that in such quick moments, to me at least, is really impressive.
Oh, yeah.
So after that, this is when she finally agrees to let Tyler hide the camera because he had tried earlier. She told him no. So now that she's seen this behavior, she agrees to let him hide the camera tonight to see what happens. And we catch some fun stuff of Nana slamming doors, screaming, crawling around until she finally looks directly into the camera, picks it up, grabs a knife, and bangs on their door for God knows how long before she finally gives up because there's a lock on the inside, thank God, where they can keep themselves pretty safe in there. And she's not strong enough to beat down the door. That would be kind of insane.
Yeah.
So
I thought
yeah.
that jump scare was like the only cheap jump scare in this film. I
When she
wish it
picks up the
didn't.
camera.
Yeah, I wish it didn't have this. I wish it like even if it's like not a jump scare, and she just like looks at the
Hmm.
camera all of a sudden, walks up, picks it up, and then picks the whole thing of picking up the knife and walking up to the door is scary enough. Like I don't think it needed the rah sort of jump scare. That's all.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not too big on it either. It didn't like bother me, but I do agree that it was kind of the only one that did feel a little bit more cheap and a little bit more forced.
That's all.
Um,
Yeah, I feel like it just didn't need it.
yeah. No, I think that's very valid. Yeah, so basically, I mean, we get to watch, which I think it's kind of strange. This movie is documentary style, but there's a couple of moments where it feels like the camera goes back to just being a normal view,
Yeah.
and you're kind of like, wait, how is that happening? Not enough to like be nitpicky, but I just thought that was interesting. This is kind of one of those moments where she like sets the camera down upstairs,
Yeah, like perfectly as well.
like
Yeah.
perfectly. Yeah, and then we get to watch her. Yeah, it's kind of strange. I almost feel like it could have been better if maybe she left the camera downstairs. We see her go up with a knife,
Yeah.
and then
It
we
cuts
just
to
get to see
their
the
camera
kids.
inside, and it's just like a
Yes,
banging on the door or something. Yeah.
that would have been, I think, a bit more creepy versus following both sides of the camera.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's basically Thursday night. So now we're at Friday morning. Anything else to add here? I just have one more section to finish off the movie, but anything else to point
No,
out?
I think I think you said it kind of perfectly when you see the pop up with the gun in his mouth. You're like, oh, he's fucked up as well.
Hmm.
Because the majority of the time it's just her, and
Hmm.
like, and now it's just like, oh no, they're both bad. And also like the moments that you see like pop ups actually really messed up, like when he's getting into a tux, he's like, gotta go to a
Yeah.
costume party. And where he just straight up assaults this child when they're taking video outside the school.
Hmm.
He's like, that kid's looking at us, that man's looking at us. And it's just some fucking teenager. And then he goes up and tries to like push him over, which I'm all for. I'm all for pushing over teenagers. So yeah, I think you said perfect.
Yeah, it is. I didn't highlight those 2 points, but yeah, it is interesting. You get to watch them both just progressively kind of become more unhinged. But
Yeah.
I like that it takes the direction of they have a mental illness versus they're just creepy, weird old people who want to kidnap children. Like they're still should obviously what they're doing is horrific and uncalled for, but it is more believable, I guess, that it's more of a mental illness than it is just like random horrific people who just want to do bad things for no reason. You know what I mean? I think it's a more interesting story with the way that he chose to have those characters kind of unfold. Okay, so after reviewing the footage from that night, obviously, Becca tells Tyler they're definitely leaving tonight. So it's Friday. Again, the woman from earlier, Stacy, she shows back up and they see her from the window arguing with Nana and Pop Pop. She seems angry and they eventually ask her to come inside. While they're playing outside, Becca tells Tyler that they didn't see Stacy leave earlier. And that
Oh,
obviously worries them.
like I feel like he didn't need that line. Like, because
I know.
obviously, like, okay, they've killed her. Like, but
I know.
like,
It was
just
very
the
unnecessary.
opening the door later and her on the tree, amazing. And that would have been so good if they didn't include that line. And then and then they do that. And even after they see that, they're like, is that the woman from before? Like even that's okay. But like, yeah, that's all. I
I
feel
agree
like
with you.
it's just M Night getting back into his groove and he's spoon feeding a couple of times. That's it.
Yes. Yeah, definitely spoon fed. And I agree with you. I didn't like it because the scene was literally just Becca saying, I didn't see Stacy leave earlier. And then
Yeah,
it flashes to a whole new scene. So it's just like this 10-second scene that did not need to be there.
yeah,
So I'm definitely with you. So basically, before they leave, she's determined to get more information on what happened the day before, or I'm sorry, not the day before, the day her mom left 15 years ago. So she gets Nana to agree to one final interview. She's basically wants to get this, like, I forget the word she keeps using.
the
Do you remember it?
the miracle, the
I get to write it down.
elixir.
Elixir.
Yeah,
Yeah, she wants the elixir of like, because her mom won't tell her
miracle.
what happened the day she left, and she wants to find out. So she seems to catch on that this version of Nana, this woman, does well when she's telling a story and not looking at a situation related to her specifically. So Becca is very intuitive for a young person. She catches on to this. So she decides to tell her in the version of a story about her mom and what happened and asks her essentially like, what would you say to that little girl? And Nana's pretty emotional and kind of, very invested in the story at this time. She's clearly upset. And she says that she would say, I forgive you, little girl. Which in this moment, you're kind of like, oh, it's kind of a sweet, wholesome moment, but
Yeah,
like, that's not your grandma. So
So
It's kind of creepy.
means fucking nothing.
Right. They later Skype with their mom again, while the grandparents are on a walk, and she's been able to get the camera to work again. She's kind of been like working on it all week, scratching away the stuff. And so they're talking to their mom with cameras again, finally, and tell her she needs to come pick them up tonight, that something's wrong with the grandparents, and they're kind of panicking. They take the computer towards the window. Not sure how the mom could see the grandparents that well, but I guess if you know your parents, even from a distance, you're going to know if it's them. But she kind of calmly is just like, those are the people you've been staying with this whole time. Those are not your grandparents.
That's that moment I remember in the theater being like,
Yeah.
oh, that's
Right?
sick. Which like, just the way that Catherine Hahn's fucking awesome, by the way. She like, the way she says, goes, Tyler, Becca, honey, please you need to listen to me. Are those the people you've been staying with the whole week? They ain't your grandparents. You're like, oh, let's fucking go.
I like how she's so calm, cool, and collected about it,
Yeah.
but she's got like a plan. You know what I mean? I think it's super realistic and it's a lot
Instant
better.
mum mode. Yeah.
Yes, not some like big dramatic thing. It's like she's just calm. She's ready to go into like, here's what we're gonna do. And she needs them to obviously stay calm too, because she doesn't want them to catch on that the kids know. So obviously Loretta is, scared but stays calm. She tells him to get to a neighbor, try to stay safe. That is hard to say. Stay safe. And she's going to continue to call the police on her way there.
Yeah.
So it's like a super small town. There's like one person that answers the police department phone, and they're just not answering. Of course, has to be like the smallest
It's the classic
town.
little, what is it called, like country hick town?
Literally, yeah. That's exactly what I think
Is
they're
hick
trying to
an
develop.
offensive word in America? Hick?
Hick. It could be to some people. Like to say someone's like from a hick town, it could have like a derogatory
Yeah, right.
note about it. Yeah.
Well, I mean it offensively.
So later that night, they try to leave to go, like, I think escape to a neighbor's house, essentially. But as they open the door, they see Stacy hanging from the tree outside.
Oh, so good. Such a good shot.
Super quick little jump scare here. It's very quick, but I agree with you. If we would have not known the earlier information and just saw this, it would have been so much more effective.
Yeah.
And Pop quickly slams the door, telling them it's time for game night. I think he's actually kind of menacing here in this moment when he kind of takes like a switch. I feel like this last bit of the movie, like when the game night starts and when things kind of go
a bit more
around.
dominant.
Yeah, exactly. He goes to, or I'm so sorry, I skipped a part again. Man, I'm struggling with my notes today. I apologize,
You're
y'all.
killing it. You're killing it.
So Becca sneaks upstairs. She says that her camera battery is dead, so she needs to charge it. And they're okay with that because, she's been making this movie, so it seems super legit that her battery might be dead. She tells Tyler to just keep the game going, insinuating that he needs to keep them occupied. But due to the time of night that it is, Grandma starts acting strange again.
Oh, yeah.
So Pop puts her in her room while Becca looks around the basement for her real grandparents. She finds their personal items and their dead bodies, which is really sad, in the basement. And of course, she freaks out. But now Pop is down there trying to attack her. He drags her upstairs. Again, another terrifying moment. This is like probably the scariest scenes in the movie, these couple of scenes here. He drags her upstairs where Tyler's already knocked out on the ground, and he locks her in the room with Nana.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so fucked up.
So brutal. So Pop decides to punish Tyler, telling him that he never liked him anyways, and decides to take off his dirty diaper and smear it in his face. Absolutely disgusting.
That would break any person. That would break them.
I mean, his reaction at the end here is very valid.
Absolutely.
While this is happening, Nana is fucking with Becca in the room, creeping her out under the bed, putting her hands up, just kind of trying to scare her. She finally gets up, and there's this great moment where she takes the camera and she looks directly into the mirror for the first time at herself. But then Nana hits her head into the mirror and it cracks. I think, I don't know, maybe I'm taking it too, like, not metaphorically, but maybe I'm thinking too much into it. But I think that this moment was really supposed to signify, like, Becca finally, like, gaining some respect for herself again. Like, she looks at herself, she does get hit into the mirror, but once it cracks, she, like, goes into fight back mode.
Yeah, she goes survival mode, for sure.
Yeah, so I feel like it kind of represents, like, a little bit of that, which I think it's shot really cool for being, like, a documentary style movie.
For sure.
Yeah, she fights back on the bed. She's able to stab Nana. I'm assuming she kills her. I don't feel like it really, like, is clear if she's dead.
Kills her. She kills her. Yeah.
before she gets to her. So she's able to run back downstairs. Tyler's fighting back, going crazy, kicking, smashing Pop's head in the fridge. Becca stops him and they run outside. This like beautiful song starts playing. It's raining outside all of a sudden. The whole aesthetic is just kind of different because it's nighttime. The
So
police are now
good.
showing up. Yeah, it's a really great scene. They reunite with their mom. She's obviously in the back of the police car. And they get to have this like emotional, reunited moment with their mother, and they're all emotional and crying. I thought that originally that was the end of the movie when I was rewatching it this time around because I'd forgotten about this little like extra interview. Would have been a great spot to end it, but I'm so glad they didn't because there's obviously some emotional beats here at the end.
You pay off.
Yeah. So we end with the final interview with Loretta talking about her childhood and how she used to sing and how much her mom loved it. And then she tells Becca finally about the day she left home, talking about how she was very upset, ended up hitting her mother, which resulted in her dad hitting her. Sounds like a really brutal situation. She tells her that they reached out soon after, actually, that they were like trying to rekindle their relationship with her, but she refused to take their calls. She's visibly upset. Becca comes over to comfort her. They share a sweet moment crying together. And Loretta tells her to not hold on to anger, which is something that Becca really needed to hear because obviously her feelings towards her father, she has a lot of anger.
Yeah.
I actually started tearing up during this scene. And then we flashed to this footage montage of them when they were little with their dad. And then it's even sadder. Just a great way to end the movie. And then we have an even better scene of a credit scene of Tyler rapping for us. And Becca's just like, there's in their room hanging out and he's just doing his thing. And she's just like smiling, being supportive sister. And I love that M. Night put like, my brother forced me to put this scene in or something
So
like
good.
that. This is The Visit. So give me your final thoughts, score on the film, and anything else I might have missed.
Yeah, I like it how that last scene really affected you. I think that's great. It's crazy how a film like this, it's like a mockumentary horror film, affected you like that. Yeah, I think that you said it perfectly. M. Night loves family, and that's kind of where his bread and butter is. There's always going to be an element of family when it comes to his greatest films. Signs, it's literally about grief. It's a film about grief and the loss of faith in a family. The Sixth Sense is literally about a single parent relationship. Trap girl dad, you see it. He loves talking about families. I think this movie is really good, like really really good, and a really good like step into the right direction for his career, and really made him like get back into the groove of making some bangers. I think this movie is so rewatchable. It's a lot of fun. Everything about it's like good. It's not horrifying, but it's really creepy, very off-putting. It's more like a thriller. That's probably still a horror, but like it's still like it's just so off-putting. I think the way he does it is so fucking good. Yeah, give it 3.5.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said. I also give it 3.5. I think that it's just an interesting kind of middle ground in the genre where, like you said, it is horror, but it's not like bloody slasher horror. And it's
Doesn't
not like
need to be, yeah.
yeah, deaths happening or anything, but or even like bloody moments. Like there's definitely those moments like here and there, but a lot of that happens like even off camera a little bit. You know, you don't see it happening. So it's more the environment that like the ominous like setting and the tension that builds, and you know, it's definitely more thrillery in that way. Which I think is really his bread and butter. So I think it's really well done. There's definitely some moments like we talked about that could have been done better. It's a little spoon fed at times, but it's fine for a movie like this. I think the actors all do a really great job. I think the kids are great leads. To have a movie be basically led by two teenagers isn't an easy task, and they both absolutely kill it. And even Catherine Hahn being like a side character from like mostly being there through Skype calls, like still kills it. And the grandparents do a great job in what they're supposed to be accomplishing with their roles. So great cast, great premise, very rewatchable, like you said. And yeah, I just love the way that M. Night tries to find ways to have those emotional, like familial beats, even in some of the wildest situations. And yeah, I don't know if it got to me just because of like my personal like relationship with my father, but I feel like it probably gets to a lot of people just because of the like conclusion of the whole premise of the film is to help find out what happened with the mom and her parents. And so to kind of circle back to like this whole holding on to anger, and like you said, with Signs being about grief, like there's just so much of that intertwined in his best films. So it makes me happy that even in a movie like this, that he could have just totally gone basic horror thriller with it, he still found ways to add that in. It's the same with Knock at the Cabin, same kind of thing, where it's like you have that thriller kind of horror element, but still all about family at the end of the day. So, yeah, definitely rewatchable film. Very, very glad that we talked about this one because
Oh
I had not
yeah.
watched it in a long time. So, very glad we did. But that is our thoughts on The Visit. Let us know what you think in the comments. And also for next week, please watch Signs. We have a special guest coming on for that, and we're very excited about that.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
until then, we're going to do a little draft, 5 films each. Harry's brilliant idea to do a draft of scary movies that we could definitely survive
Oh, I'm
in.
surviving the shit out of this film. Like, I leave
Absolutely.
that house when I deem I want to leave that house. You know?
Absolutely. I'm with you. So we'll just do 5 each. You go first.
Oh. Do you know where I'm going?
I don't.
There's a clear number one, and it's Child's Play. I'm
Should have
punting
gone
that
first.
doll. I'm absolutely sending that doll into the uprights. It's Child's Play.
100%. And see, I'm bummed that you took that because you are larger and stronger than me. So there's a lot more movies you could survive than I could survive. And that is one that I
That's
could
one that you
survive.
could definitely
I
emphasize.
just
Yeah,
took
yeah.
one
You just
for me.
you Spartan kick that little motherfucker.
Can I take Child's Play too?
I'll allow it.
I might circle back to that depending on where I am at the end here if I don't have enough movies. But yeah,
Bride
that
of
was the
Chucky.
yeah, Child's Play 2 is my favorite, so that was the only reason why I was going to go with that one. But absolutely, kick Chucky. That little fucker should not be killing as many people as he does.
Amen.
All right. Well, I guess to start, I'm going to go with Jaws because I just wouldn't get in the water or near the water.
That's true.
So,
You
does
don't like
that
the
count as
ocean?
surviving?
Yeah, survive. Yeah, yeah. Whatever reason you have. No, that's good. I'd go for my second round pick. I'm going to go Evil Dead.
First one or?
Any one of them. So I'll go first one, but I'm probably never going to read from a book that's made out of skin.
Mm-hmm.
So that would probably be my reason why. I just,
Valid.
I'm not a fucking moron.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for the same reasons, I'm going to go with Candyman
Oh,
because
good.
I
Yeah.
just wouldn't say Candyman,
Say it
in
twice.
the mirror 5 times.
Say it twice.
I thought it was 5. Is it 5 times or
I
two
think
times?
I think it's 5 times.
Yeah, I think it's 5. Although when I was a kid, I did used to do that like Bloody Mary shit where you like go in the bathroom with your friend so you can say that, but wouldn't do it now.
No, definitely not. We're not doing that. Not here.
Not here.
See, now we get into. I've got a sleeper fifth pick, so I'm going to keep that. But I'm going to go The Ring.
Next one.
No one really has a VHS player anymore, so we can't really play the tape even if we wanted to. So The Ring.
Yeah, I had that on my list. That's actually the first horror film I ever remember watching when I was 9 years old and fascinated me. And I have loved horror films ever since.
Hell yeah.
I have it on Blu-ray.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, maybe I'm being a bit too confident with my abilities.
Be
But
confident.
I'm not physically strong, but I can be very logical and have a good plan.
Write
And
it
I can
down.
use a gun if I need to. So I'm going to take Scream
Yeah,
because I could
I
go
already
Gil
wrote it
Weathers
down.
ass, you know?
I already wrote it down. I was like, yep, that's on my list as well. Well done.
Can't
No,
have Child's Play, then I got to have that.
no, absolutely. See, I'm going Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Hear me out. I'm never going to rural Texas. 1. And 2, I'm outrunning that fucker so quickly.
But you have to do it as if you're in the movie.
Yeah, I'm outrunning him.
It's like- okay.
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
out, like, easily as well.
Fair enough. I believe you. I could not, but I believe you. I'm gonna go with
Please don't take my last one.
I would like to say that I could do A Quiet Place and I could just shut the fuck up for as long as I need to, but let's be real, I'm a talker, so I don't know if I'm confident that I could survive.
That's really good, though. Quiet place, now just mind my own fucking business.
Just shut the fuck up. I don't know if I could do. I'm gonna no. If I'm being true and being honest to myself, I talk way too much. I couldn't do it. I'm gonna take it.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, of course.
Because I just, would be able to not be affected by Pennywise. Like I would never go to a storm drain. I would never let him get to my fears. Like, yeah, fuck you, clown.
Oh, yeah. No, that's a good one. My fifth and final pick, I'm going to go with Get Out. I just don't feel like I would ever be targeted. in that sort of universe. I think I'll be pretty safe. I'd be surviving. I might be alive in that universe, like I might live in that universe, but like I wouldn't. Yeah, I just would never be in danger. Is what I would say. I would never be part of that community either. So I'll just be living. I'd be
Yeah.
living. I'd just be living around,
You would be.
but I would
Wow.
never be in danger. I could walk the streets at night and not get a run rabbit run. But I'd be totally sweet. Yeah, that'd be me. Tell me
Yeah, I
I'm
don't think
wrong.
that's the
Tell me
reaction.
I'm wrong though. Tell me I'm wrong.
I'm just trying to imagine, like, I'm just thinking like Pleasantville style. Like Harry's transported into Get Out.
Mm-hmm.
They're just gonna assume that you're
I'm
one of
at,
the other side of the people, I guess.
I'm at
I
that
don't know.
party being like, everyone's acting a little too weird about this new dude, eh?
He's just a friend of the brother, just visiting from college. It's
Yeah,
no big deal. Don't mind
that
him.
must be it.
All right. Well, I feel like it'd be too boring to take Child's Play 2. So I'm gonna do a fun one, and I'm gonna pick Tucker and Dale versus Evil
Yeah, good
because
one.
I'm not as stupid as any of those teenagers, and I wouldn't freak out and run when these dopey ass guys are near me.
Nice one.
I'd be the girl that was just like in there getting help at the cabin, just
Oh
keeping
yeah.
it chill.
Oh
So
yeah.
I'd survive. Okay, so to round it out, Harry took Child's Play, Evil Dead, The Ring, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Get Out.
Yeah.
I took Jaws, Candyman, Scream, It Chapter 1, and Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. So let us know in the comments which horror films you would survive in. Love to see some other ideas here. But that wraps up our episode on The Visit. Again, for next week, watch Signs. We're really excited about M. Night March, so hope you guys are going to follow along. But please follow us on everything, and we will see you at the movies.
March night.